lower your camera a little bit so I can see your feet. Now I can't see your head.
Tricky.
Yeah. Okay. This next move is maybe the most complicated move in the whole form. There's just a lot of moving parts. So we're not going to get the whole thing today, but we'll get part of it. So let's instead of just doing the whole form, let's just focus on that move today. We'll get as much of it as we can. So I'm going to start from the punch. Block down and roll. Reverse chin up. Pull silk. Forward chin up. Shoulder and throw. Coil in. Buddha's warrior. Lift the urn. It's like you're carrying a big urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Step out and grab. Circle. Shoulder. Grab. Punch. That's one move. And then 1, 2, 3, circle, grab, lean with back. That's the halfway point through the form. Okay, you got that? Go ahead and do it.
It's very complicated.
It's 2 moves. It's very, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. All right. So we've sort of got the beginning of it. Let's go ahead and do the beginning again. Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse chin up. Pull silk. Forward chin up. Shoulder. Throw. Throw. Let's go over the footwork again. Just watch this time. Just watch. Don't do it. Just watch me. All right? The whole beginning of this, you don't change your feet at all. Punch. Block down. Roll. Reverse chin up. Pull silk. Forward chin up. I haven't moved my feet at all. Now, when I do my shoulder, those toes come with my shoulder. So the shoulder stroke starts in the bottom of that foot and comes up like this. And now throw. So the throw, listen, the throw is a spiral off this foot. Everything in your body is spiraling. Right? Both arms and your right leg are spiraling. Shoulder, spiral. Right? Everything is turning. Right? All on the bottom of that foot. Hold on a minute. I'm out of tape. We'll have to use blue. I'm not a white tape, right? Watch. This is going to spiral. Spiral. All off this foot, right? Spiral. The whole thing from the punch. Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse china, pull silk. Forward china, shoulder. Yes. Spiral. Now just coil in. All right? Now you can lift, but we don't really lift very much. Boom. And step out. Let me do that sequence with my back to you so that you can read it differently. You won't be able to see everything, but you'll kind of know what's going on. All right? Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse china. Pull silk. Forward china. Shoulder. Throw. Coil in. Buddha's warrior and step out.
Can you do it once more?
Yes. Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse china. Pull silk. Forward china. Shoulder. Throw. Coil in. Buddha's warrior and step out. Is it easier to see with my back to you, or easier to understand it with my back to you?
But much easier.
Okay. Then let's switch back and forth between forward view and reverse view then. All right? But let's do it together. Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse china. Pull silk. Forward china. Shoulder. Throw. Coil in. Buddha's warrior. Step out. All right? Let's do it again. I'll do it with my back to you. Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse china. Pull silk. Forward china. Shoulder. Throw. Coil in. Buddha's warrior. Step out. Yes? Good? You have it. All right. Let's do it one more time, and then I'm going to have you do it. All right? Now you.
I had it earlier, but I'm not sure now. But yeah, I'll try.
Good. All right? What my master used to say when we would be done with a lesson, he would say, Don't forget. Don't forget. Maybe you forget. Don't forget. When I would be done with a lesson with him, he only lived about 2 blocks from Golden Gate Park. So I would walk over to Golden Gate Park and I would practice for 15 or 20 minutes so that
I did that last night and this morning. So
very, very good. Okay, let's go on to the next little part of this, right? You know what an urn is, right? It's like a big vase or something, right? So you're carrying it like this, right? Lift the urn. Box the ears. Right? Boom. Right? Right on somebody's temples or on their ears. So Buddha's warrior, step out, lift the urn, box the ears, double elbow strikes. When we do this exercise, it's the same. It's exactly the same thing, right? So there's that little section there. Let's get that section, right? So Buddha's warrior, step out, lift the urn, box the ears, double elbow strikes. One more. Buddha's warrior, step out, lift the urn, box the ears, double elbow strikes. One more. Now, when you do the double elbow strikes, there's no fa jin. It's very, very gentle. In fact, with most people, you won't even see the elbows. They sort of just skate over it. That's okay. But you should know that you're doing them, right?
and you shift your weight when you do it.
Right. Right. Left. Right. Left. No weight on this foot. All your weight's on the left. Okay, now when you get to the elbow strikes, don't actually do the strikes because your next move is going to be going out sideways, and if your elbows are really behind you, it's a little hard to do that. So you just kind of come back gently, right? And then it's like you're you know what taffy is? You know what taffy is? Taffy's candy.
Oh yeah.
When you make taffy, you make it and then you pull it and it comes back in and you pull it and you have to make the candy. It's like that. It's called pulling taffy. All right. Now, if let me see if I can get Annie in here to do a demo. Are you there? Can you come and do a demo? Come up close to your computer. Watch this fist.
Nippy out there.
There's a little nippy. Somebody has grabbed your wrist.
Thank you.
Come around here in front, all right? About here. So she's gonna grab both my wrists. So she's trying to control me. So I'm gonna.
I don't try to control him anymore. It's a waste of my energy.
I'm gonna do this slow so it doesn't hurt her. Right? You bring your hands together. You're using your body, not your arms.
Yes, they're just.
It's not your arms doing it. Your arms aren't strong enough.
That.
It's the mass of your body. All right. So I'm going to pull her in first.
Get me off center.
When you pull someone in like that, it disrupts their balance and it gets them off center. All right. And then you just circle around. Boom.
And there's no way you can hold on.
Yeah, you can't hold it. Again, watch what's happening with the angles. So she's right now she's at really good angles. So she's got control of my arms. All right. Now she has no control. There's no control there.
No.
All right. Just move out. Okay. Thank you very much.
Funny.
So that's the point of that. So all this stuff, don't worry about that. All right. What's important is this. All right. So you spread your legs and you move around your waist. You're going around your waist, around. Now, it's just like this exercise.
Yeah.
All right. You're generating the power in the legs. So we could be doing this move with our hands flat like we do in the exercise. But we're not. We're doing it with fists, but it's basically the same thing. I'm not even gonna worry about all the twisting. You can worry about that later. Just get the foundation. The legs, the waist, yes, you've got it. Okay, let's tie these all together. Buddha's warrior. Step out. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Pull out. Pull out. Reach around and grab. Circle. Now, shoulder. All right. Grab. Now you're going to pull that person in at the same time that you punch them. Where's the punch coming from? The bottom of that foot.
Yeah.
Not that foot, this foot. Right? You're pushing right? And it's a flat punch, just with these two knuckles. So you might be punching somebody in the ribs, or maybe up in the jaw. One more. Buddha's warrior. Step out. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Pull out. Reach around and grab and circle. Shoulder. Grab. Punch. Most punches, you think I'm going forward and I'm punching. But this one goes back and punches. Your body's going backward. Let me do it with my back to you. Buddha's warrior. Step out. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Pull out. Circle. Shoulder. Reach out and grab and punch. One more.
Can you do it again?
Yep. Buddha's warrior. Step out. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Pull out. Circle. Shoulder. Grab. Punch. Try it.
When you said lift the urn and whatever you call it, but
Box
what does that mean? What are you doing in fact? Lifting, I mean, it's not that you lift.
Well, I would have to have Annie here again to show you, but let's say, for instance, someone was coming up and they grab you by the throat, right? So lifting the urn, you come up underneath their arms and lift their arms. You're doing pump. You're here. Come here.
So you're lifting the guy up.
You're not lifting the whole guy. You're just lifting his arms. What you're really doing is disrupting his structure.
Okay.
So you don't try to do 100%. Maybe you're just doing 10%. But it's enough. It's enough to disrupt him. So she comes in and she's right. So lifting the urn might just be that simple. It's very simple. Right? So I might come up underneath her elbows. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now do it hard, right? Hard. Boom. It's very, no, so I'll do it. You can hurt me. Come here. All right. Yeah. You don't have to do very much.
Yeah, it's not very much.
It's actually there's many things you could do with it, but it's actually very similar to the first move in the form.
Oh.
The very first move in the form is like this. The only difference is instead of going like this, you're going like this. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
Good. When you box the ears, there are different ways to do it, but this time you're using the back of the hands. So watch. Right? Or you could even think of it as the side of the hands, right? Or the back of the hands. Why do you use the back of the hands? I'll show you.
It hurts more.
Suppose I'm going to box. You know what the word box means in this case? It's like boxing. It's like boxing, right? Box. Right? You're hitting somebody, boxing the ears. Suppose this is the other guy, right? I'm going to box his ears. He puts his hand up to block it, right? If I'm going around to the back, this will still get him. Because your wrist will go backward like that. So you'll still get him in the ear.
Okay.
Buddha's warrior. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. And now pull out. Pull. 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 This is another example of pulling silk. You know, earlier in the move, we pull silk, right? Punch. Pull silk. Pull. Pull between. This is the same thing. Instead of going like this, now we're going like this. But you should feel that you're pulling. Yes. Good. Buddha's warrior. Step out. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Pull out. Circle around. Now, make a 360-degree circle. Right? And shoulder. Reach and grab. Pull and punch.
It's a nice move.
It is a nice move. I like it. This pulls back, and your daimai is moving, right? Is spinning around. The red, the blue. Not your arms doing it. It's this.
Very interesting move.
It is an interesting move. I like it. I always enjoy doing it. All right, let's do it from the very beginning. I'll do it 3 times facing you and 3 times facing away, and then you do it.
Mm.
Punch, lock down and roll. Reverse chin up, pull silk. Forward chin up, shoulder, throw, coil in, Buddha's warrior, and step out. Lift the urn, box the ears, and double elbow strikes. Pull out, reach around and grab, circle, shoulder, grab, punch. Okay? I'm saying all that stuff out loud because it's a script. If you memorize that, it will help you remember what to do until you don't have to worry about that anymore. One more. Punch. Block down and roll. Reverse chin up. Pull silk. Forward chin up. Shoulder. Throw. Coil in. Buddha's warrior. Lift the urn. Box the ears. Double elbow strikes. Circle. Shoulder. Grab, and punch. So this script, Master Jean didn't teach us that. He didn't have enough English, and we didn't have enough Chinese. So what you had to do was just watch him. You just watched, and you kept doing, and he kept doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it until. This is why I had to do this 12 times. Because there was almost no language. It was just copy and follow what he was doing. And then to understand, well, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Mm.
It took years to figure that out. Because he
didn't explain.
Well, he did, but it was very episodic. So he might teach the form one time in class, and when he got to this part, he might explain one thing. But just in that little section we did, there's a dozen things. He didn't explain everything. He just maybe told you one thing. Next time when you did the form, he would tell you something different.
Hmm.
And the next time you get a third one, and then you get a fourth one. That might take 2 years. So if you wanted it, you had to stick around.
Hmm.
This is a Chinese way of teaching. They don't tell you everything. That really, truly is their teaching philosophy. You want this? You want it? Then you have to stick around.
You should try not to say anything, just once.
That would be an interesting experiment.
Yeah.
I don't know that if I was fluent in Chinese, he probably would have said a lot more.
Yeah.
But there was a real language barrier, and I worked with him for a long time. I worked with him one-on-one for about 12 years. And so eventually we got to be able to communicate pretty well. A lot of it was nonverbal.
Hmm.
He learned a little English, I learned a little Chinese, and a lot of it was nonverbal. We just learned each other's signals. So it got to be pretty good as time went on. But in public classes, he learned a little English as time went on. But and his teaching changed over the years. At first, he did not explain a lot of things because he thought everybody knew it. Because in China, everybody knows this stuff, but no, we didn't know any of this stuff. And so finally, one of the Chinese students took him aside after class and said, look, the American students don't understand. They don't understand these concepts. You have to slow down and give them a foundation. You know, oh, okay. And then he did. And for the next maybe 5 or 6, 7 years, he was a really good teacher for Americans because he really slowed down. He really built a foundation, et cetera, et cetera. And then, but during that time, he was getting a little older and older and older. When he was about 80 years old, he kind of put that aside. And he mostly let the older students like me run the classes, and he sort of just watched for the most part. But when I started with him, he led every class. He did every move. He led every class. He told you everything that was going on after a while. And then that, like I say, that lasted about 7 years or so. And then he kind of semi-retired. And he would watch. It was not just me. There was me and Brian and Charlton, and there were like 4 or 5 guys who led the classes. And he would watch, and then he would get up and tell you one thing. Sometimes it was something. If I was leading, he might say something that I had done wrong. So no, you should do it this way. Or maybe it was just something that he thought of while it was going on. But the point of this long story is, the only way you actually got everything was to be there every day, year after year after year. Otherwise, you just didn't get it. It's the only way to do it. And that's true in China.
Commitment. Yeah, it's a commitment.
Yeah. That's why in China, I think I've told you guys this story before, but it's true. You even see it in movies where the young man or young woman comes to the master and goes, you know, Master, I have heard great things about you. I'd like to be in your school. And the master goes, oh, you know, you seem like a very nice young person, but I'm so busy right now. I'm too busy. No, I can't take new students. No, goodbye, go away. Right? And then you go away. If you believe him and just go away, then he knows you don't have any commitment. So what has to happen is you have to show up again the next morning, and he's going to tell you the same thing. You keep doing that for about 2 weeks. And finally he goes, okay, all right, fine. Come in, and I'll tell you what, you come in.
And you sweep the floor.
You come in, here's a broom, clean the dojo, clean the floor, and then you sit and watch. And you, every day when you come in, he's going to give you the broom. For maybe 6 months. And
Yeah, you really have to want to study.
But I'll tell you, that sounds funny, and it is a funny story. It sounds like he's trying to discourage you. And in a lot of ways he is. Because if you do real training, you're going to run into a lot of discouragement on your own. You have to, and if that stops you, then you're not a good student.
Yeah.
You don't really have commitment. The teacher can't give you any commitment. That has to come from your heart. Some people have it, some people don't. It's okay. It's not a judgment. It's just either you got it or you don't. So if you do have it, you'll put up with all that crap until, right? Until he truly accepts you as a student. Susan, I'm explaining about how Kevin, you can tell him a story about going into what's his name's class in St. Louis. That when you first come into a dojo, they don't just, oh, we're so glad you're here. you get to be, no, they discourage you at first. So tell them what they did to you.
Well, I was going to school, university, and I lived in a housing project, and Justin was teaching at the rec center in the housing project. So I finally found out about it, and I went over there, and I think I sat with two other people for almost 6 months before he let us into the class. And I remember getting severely chastised from touching one of the weapons, which was nothing more than a $2 machete that they were using for a broadsword. But I stuck it out.
You touched it. You touched it. We dressed you down.
Yep. Well, not Justin, some of the other people.
The others, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You didn't have permission to touch the weapon.
Nope.
Right? It's not that the weapon's worth anything. It's just the protocol.
Mm. Yeah.
So Justin had done some training in China, and he had learned that way of doing. So for 6 months, the only thing Kevin could do is sit and watch.
Yep.
And there's just a really simple reason they do that. A teacher only has so much time. And really, it's not very much. If you're a teacher for 20, 30 years, you think, oh, wow, 20 or 30 years, that's not very much time at all. And you're only going to be able to train so many people. And if they don't have real commitment, what happens is they come in, they use up a lot of your time for 2 or 3 years, and then they leave.
They leave.
And it's like that in a certain way, on just a personal plane, maybe it's fine. You like that person, you're glad they got something out of it, etc., etc. But on the professional level, in a certain way, it's a waste of time.
Well, out of all those students, I'm the only one that has any sort of contact with Justin.
Yeah.
You know, most of them, to be honest, are dead. They were, hardcore inner city kids, and they didn't last very long. And then the other three people that I know of kind of defected from him and went to Yang style while he went to Chen.
Well, that's very, very common. A couple of years after, I worked with Master Zhang very closely for a long time, and then I just was in the public classes for a while, and at some point at one of the banquets, because we had a birthday banquet every year for Master Zhang, and one of those he liked to drink Chinese whiskey. And Mrs. Yang would not let him do very much, but he would sneak a little bit in those banquets, so he could do it once a year. And during one of those banquets, he said, he had hundreds of students from all over the country, as well as maybe 60 regular students in San Francisco. And of that 60, there were maybe 25 or so who were very regular year after year after year after year after year. They were with him the whole time. And in that banquet, he said, I only had 2 real students. Out of all the students, there were only 2 who were real. Who really did what it took to make this their own. That's what every teacher wants. They want you to grab this and make it yours. Do something with it. In other words, go beyond being just a student. But the truth is, even someone like Master Zhang, who was very well known in the United States, he was a high-level player, the first high-level player who came from China. He still only had 2 students, in his estimation, that were real students. Now I'll let you guess who one of them was. And the other one was Brian Guan. But the reason the teacher does that is not to discourage you, but to test you. Do you really want this? Do you really want it? You gotta really, really want this. because there's 1,000 reasons that you will quit. You change your job, you get married, you have children, you do this, you do that. 1,000 things happen that get in the way. You have to want this so bad that despite all those things, you still come to class. You still practice every day. This is the only way to do it.
Yeah, I've been doing this since 2008. I still don't have it. I've been sitting in this chair for a year now because I blew my knee, and I'm determined that I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. You just don't let anything stop you. Even when you're wounded and you have to sit in the chair, you can still watch, you can still absorb things. Maybe during this lifetime, you'll eventually get out of that chair and maybe you'll be able to move. Maybe it'll be next lifetime. That's why Grandmaster Funk said, if you really want this, it's going to take you 99 lifetimes.
That's a long time.
That's a long time.
Thank you.
I don't think he was kidding. I think he meant it. Right? He was enough of a Buddhist to go, you're just going to keep coming back working on this until you finally get it. So, in my career, there have been some peaks. So I've managed to do a few things that were really interesting. But I have not done any of those for probably 10 or 15 years. Because that's just not what I'm doing right now. Right now I'm teaching. Kevin, do you remember when I covered your rice bowl?
Yeah, that's probably the weirdest thing I've ever felt.
Your rice bowl, the Chinese word for qi, for your energy, is a picture of a bowl of rice with steam coming up. Your qi is the steam. So there's a process, a martial application, and it's not something you do physically. It's kind of something you do metaphysically. It's called covering a rice bowl. You cover the bowl so the steam can't come out. And when someone does it to you, you can't move. So
it doesn't hurt at all. You don't even feel like anything's happening, and you just can't move. It's just so strange.
So it's very interesting to work up toward those really high level things. When you do them, they're very simple. They're very easy. But they work. But for me anyway, I can't stay there. Because my life was not about those things. It's about things that are much more mundane. But actually are just as interesting, which is teaching. Why do you teach as a student? Why do you teach? Because that's when you're really going to learn. You think you know, even if you have done some interesting things. No, you don't. You're never going to really know until you have to teach. Because then you have to slow down, look at what's really happening so that you can explain it to someone in words. And that's not easy. I've spent more time trying to become a good teacher than I think I did actually learning it in the first place. Anyway.
Thank you.
So, Catherine, you're a good student.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, guys, give me 5 minutes here, and then we'll go on with what we're going to do here. Okay, so 5 minutes.